Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is the Go Long Podcast. I'm Tyler Dunn here with Jim Monis, as always. And Jim, I'm fired up for this podcast. We've got the great, the legendary Chris Sims on with us right out of the jump. Chris, it's great to see you, man. It's been way, way too long. How you been?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be with you and Jim. And I mean, Tyler, you've always been a great dude since our days back at Bleacher Report. So I always try to accommodate. You're one of my favorite people in all of media. So anytime, man, I'm glad to do it.
Way too kind, man. Thanks so much. That's right. We crossed paths there for at least 2 or 3 years, I want to say, right?
I would say I was there for about 5 years. I felt like the last 2 or 3 is when I started to get to know you. I don't know if you were with them before that. We just didn't cross paths or whatever, but always enjoyed all your articles. And then like even in post Bleacher Report, when I went to NBC, I mean, you've written a lot of good articles and, stirred the pot a little bit. And you've given me and Florio a lot of things to talk about, too. So that's been perfect.
I appreciate it, man. I just remember at BR's studio, or like the setup that they had there in New York City, like you had a room where you would just grind the film. I mean, I remember like you were in there morning till night, watching film in the off season, like just to learn. Like I don't even know if you were working on a story, working on a video, anything. It was you like lived in there, didn't you?
Well, like Jim will tell you, I mean, if you're gonna be good at evaluating football and players and really find the real answers to what happened happened in a game, you got to do your due diligence and sit down and study the film. That's going to give you the answers. Not that it's always going to give you everything you need when it comes to specific player, evaluating them and everything like that. Of course, you could be wrong in those instances, but yes, I'm a big believer in that, whether it's the draft, free agency. People listen to my podcast because they want to hear me break down maybe the 5 biggest plays of like the biggest game of the week or whatever that is. And I enjoy, sitting down and kind of figuring out who was right or wrong or what coach did something creative to screw the other one over. It's the best part of the game, in my opinion.
I mean, like in an industry where there's so much just nonsense and BS just kind of shouted from the mountaintop. I mean, that's kind of how your star has risen. I mean, you're doing the work, you're watching the film, you played the game, which we can't wait to get into your playing days. But I didn't mention it at the top. NBC Sports, co-host PFT Live with Mike Florio, and you have your podcast, Unbuttoned, correct?
Yeah, Chris Sims Unbuttoned, which you could see I'm hoodied up right now with the zip up. But yeah, I mean, you remember me back at Bleacher Report. I button up the top buttoned all the time, right? I'm on PFT. I'm buttoned up. I watch what I say, but then you get me on the podcast. I'm still buttoned up here, but my mouth becomes unbuttoned. And then I can swear and say whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
So I hope that was allowed right there, but I just did it.
Absolutely. I always want to ask you, does that hurt? I mean, I got kind of a big neck. Sometimes it gets I've only been shaving like once a week, with a little baby on the way. So it gets a little neck beardy down there. That would hurt. I feel like I couldn't pull that off. Does it
you got to find the right size, man. You got to find the right size. I will say I have some shirts where I put it on in the morning and gone, whoa, I'm going to choke myself all day. Let me find a new shirt. I can't wear this one anymore. I've definitely hit that, little bump in the road before, but most of my shirts fit comfortably to where it's not cutting off circulation to my brain.
Hey Tyler, for me, for my first real experience with Chris outside of his playing days was I'm a huge Dan Le Batard fan. So when I really gained, Chris, you might hate this or like this, but when I really gained so much respect for you was when you started with your list.
Yeah.
He was I don't know how you did it. You literally every day you ranked every guy all the way to 1. It was phenomenal. And I give those guys credit too, because they beat a dead horse. I mean, they won't let it go. But I gave you so much credit. My friends that listened to it were like, he really has a long list. And he actually, like, you were watching guys. That's when I was like, oh, he loves this. Like, I could tell you were really watching guys into the 40s.
Definitely.
50s. Yeah, it was pretty cool, Chris.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, that was definitely a launching point of my career for sure. Like I am in debt to Dan Le Batard all over one comment all over. Dan Patrick asked me what was wrong with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
And I got so sick of answering the question. Because people were asking me all the time, and I wanted to be like, are you watching the same game I'm watching? They can only call 2 pass plays because the quarterback can only throw those 2 pass plays. They have to run the same 2 routes all the time. So I finally came out and was like, it's because they have the 70th best quarterback in football, right? And I always have a good feel for somewhat of a loose top 30, top 40. That's what I do. Now, when I've said that, I went, oh, man, I better get to work a little bit on 50 through 70 because I haven't watched all those guys real closely. But I was confident in where I had kind of put Blake Bortles at that point to make that statement. That's really what I felt. And people, of course, the way we are with the NFL right now and everything like that, it's like, oh, if the team wins, it's the quarterback's fault. It's just quarterback. And I was just trying to make the point back then, as I do now all the time. It's not all about the quarterback. Let's build a team. Of course, we know how important the quarterback is, but we've seen plenty of good teams with average quarterbacks go to the AFC, NFC championship game. Jared Goff in the Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo, who I would say is top 20-ish. So you don't have to have a top 3 or 4 quarterback to be the best team in the NFL or win a Super Bowl. But it gives you a lot of flexibility, as you guys know, because you could have a bad day. And if you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you could still win a lot of games. And that's where a great quarterback is really special.
Well said. I mean, that's a great place to start. I mean, your quarterback rankings and all. I mean, I think people are looking forward to it this time of year now to see what you're going to have. Because, I mean, by this point, there's so much groupthink and it's that mock draft kind of mentality where it gets to a point in the offseason where most everybody on TV is kind of saying the same thing. And you drop this list and it's like, whoa, there's always a few things that make people kind of raise their eyebrows. And I think, you've always loved Aaron Rodgers' game, obviously for good reason. And you have
my favorite
Josh
quarterback
Allen.
ever. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. I've never seen a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. And then, I know we're going to get into the Super Bowl and rings and all that, but yeah, that hurt me a little this year because I bumped Rodgers down. Sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to. My bad.
No, cut me off, please. Better for the listeners.
The best part of this, Chris, is how this is how you created this, by just saying Bortles isn't even the 70th best. And now you have to defend every single time. I love it though. I love that you actually watch the tape and you find reasons why this is the question I have for you. Did you ever want to get in this guy? I know you worked with the Patriots a little. Did you want to go into that path at all?
Definitely. And I still keep the door open for that to maybe happen sometime in the future once my kids get a little older. I got a little girl that's 15 and a little boy that's 11. So I can see light at the end of the tunnel to maybe where I'd want to do that at some point. It's definitely something I think about. And yeah, when I got done playing, Jim, it was the first thing I had to do because I felt like if I went into TV or did something else, I'd go, am I messing up? Should I have gone, and worked in a front office or tried to be a coach or do something like that? I started in New England, which was a great opportunity. I learned a lot. As you both know, it's probably the worst place to start when you just jump in because there's no dipping the toe. It's like all of a sudden you're full-fledged, you're in. They've given you 3 jobs for the price of half of one, and you just got to, grind your ass off. And I really did enjoy it. But what happened ultimately was, I had young kids at the time, and I was struggling with the fact that I felt like I had only seen them a handful of times the whole football season. I had just got done with my playing career where we had moved a lot because I lost my spleen and all of that stuff. And I got offered a job to be a quarterback coach somewhere else. And I came home one day and told my wife that. And she was like, what? You're telling me we might move again? She's like, I don't know if I signed up for this. And I looked at her and I was kind of like, I don't know if I signed up for this either. I got to rethink this. And of course, that's what started me going to Bleacher Report and where I am now.
Sean Payton told us a great story. I worked for the Saints for 8 years. And Coach Payton told us when he started in Philadelphia, he was either the quality control. I think he was quality control. And I think Gruden was the quarterback coach.
I think you're right.
Okay. And the story goes, Coach Payton, obviously, he just had a newborn wife. They just moved to Philly. And he said he was trying to talk to us about life, just family life. And he goes, I had to learn quick that he said she was always very supportive. He goes, but I walked through that door at night coming in from the office, and he said she was basically throwing the newborn at him, like, here, it's your turn. And he said he's just letting everybody know, if you want to be in this business, it takes a toll on a lot of people.
It does. It takes a toll on you personally, your family life, as we've seen. We've seen a lot of coaches, right, just in my lifetime, who've had little family issues. I mean, it's a tough job, we all know. It's extremely stressful. It's a year-to-year bit. Unless you're like Bill Belichick or Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, everybody's fighting for their life on a year-to-year basis. And it is. It's a brutal business. It's as cutthroat of a business as there is in our country for the players and the coaches. And I don't know if everybody always realizes that, because they just think, oh, it's so cool. You're on TV, you're playing sport. Yeah, it is. All that's cool. But, we are human beings too. And it does affect this business for sure.
I mean, you literally kind of have to reprioritize what's important. Like if you're a scout, right? I mean, you basically have to put it up on a board. All right, well, football's more important than raising a 1 or 2 year old at this point, because you just don't have the time. There's 24 hours in the day. Like,
no, like I can even speak specifically to what I did in New England. I was the quality control coach, right? So, I mean, offensive quality control, I'm breaking down all the film for Josh McDaniels and the offensive side of the ball. And then my other job was I was in charge of players in the Northeast region who were draft eligible. So I always had to have their videos up to date and available, right? So the scouts or the pro personnel or the GM, Nick Casario at the time, or whoever, if they wanted to turn on and watch a guy, they could watch his most recent plays or whatever. So even on a Saturday as a quality control coach, I was always like, well, okay, great. Quality control, I don't have a lot on my plate today, but oh man, Saturday and Sunday, I got to get my scouting duties done and do all those things. So even though I thought like, ooh, this will be an easier day, maybe I'll get a chance to see the kids and hang out, there was always something else on my plate to where it affected that. And I never got to spend the time I wanted to on those days with my kids. And ultimately, that's what I went in and told Bill Belichick. I just said, man, I'm sorry. I'm really hate that I put you in this position. I'm appreciative of what you've done, but I just don't think my family can do this right now. And he was very understanding of that.
Wonder what his family life is like, Belichick.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to get too deep into that part of life, but I also, this is what I'll say. I don't think it's a coincidence, and Jim would probably, back me up on this, that you see all these coaches and their sons working with them now. They're trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
Not only is it like a great life, like moving forward, and sure, you're setting up your kid, but I think so many of them do feel guilty to, like both you said, where they're like, man, I missed all this time. Okay, let me get Steven Belichick on the staff with me.
Yep.
And now we can spend time and make up for lost time and all those type of things. And I do think that's probably the biggest reason you see so much family on different staffs across the league.
Rex Ryan with us was,
right.
He was a big believer, and he hired Rob. Now his people are taking care of his son. I think Anthony Lynn just hired Rex Ryan's son in Detroit. I think they. You're right, Chris. It goes so deep, and Andy Reid did it. The sad part is I know his son's in Philly, and the tragedy that's happened that's just awful.
Yeah,
but you're so right. Look at Zimmer in Minnesota. I mean, his son's the co-coordinator. I worked with his son in New Orleans for a little bit, and they missed their father. They missed their father.
I'm with you. I mean, listen, I think Norv Turner came back to Minnesota just to make sure Scott could get back in the game and get going, to make sure he could solidify himself as an offensive coordinator. And I'm not saying that to be negative about Scott, because Scott is totally qualified to be where he is with Washington. But I think that was part of it, and that's part of the business. And also that leads us down the hole of why it's hard to get new people of color involved in the coaching hire cycle, because it's such a deep-rooted family business and this closed circle of people in the coaching world in the NFL. And that's, it's a great thing that the families are involved, but as we both know, it's also, affecting other people getting new jobs in the league as well.
That's such a great point. I don't know how you bust that, how you change that. I mean,
it's tough. I know. It's tough. And hey, listen, the other thing I always say, like, I mean, we're just talking shop here. It's tough to be a low-level employee in the NFL right now, unless you have a little money saved away and things. I mean, a lot of these low-level employees are making less than minimum wage once you break down their hours and then what they're actually being paid. They are. And I was fortunate that, I just got done with an 8-year NFL career. So I could lose money for a year or two, as I did that and all that. But like some of these other guys, I mean, they're just trying to survive on a weekly basis in a, small apartment, eating the food at the facility to save as much money as they can and all that.
Yeah.
And that's the other tough aspect about breaking into the business.
I could see when we would be in draft meetings as a scout or personnel director, and you see all your scouts, well, you're all sitting around the table all day long, blah, blah, blah. But you could see the guys that were, they would talk to you, hey, I have a newborn, or hey, we're going through this at home. And it's just like any other job. You have to put that into perspective. Like, you have to give guys time. And that's the problem with football. It's like, you don't feel like you're ever nobody wants to step away from it because you feel like the other guy is going to be watching, like Gruden and Belichick, 4:30 a.m., whatever.
Oh, I know.
It's just,
yes, it is. It's crazy. Yes. Whoever stays in the office the longest will win the game. I might not be working. I might just have my foot up on the desk watching TV, but I was here longer than you, so therefore I'll win.
The
stupidest thing
Chris,
ever.
go through what the funniest thing we could do is on an 8:30, 9 o'clock p.m. on a Tuesday, Wednesday night. Go through all the offices. If you had a camera, I promise you half those coaches and scouts are sleeping.
Oh,
like with the remote, with the cowboy in their hand.
No doubt. Yes. Afraid to leave because the head coach hasn't left or anything like that.
Afraid to leave.
Yeah. And listen, I went through that for the first few months in New England. And then I started to be like, wait, I've been here since 5 this morning. I have grinded my ass off nonstop. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9:30. Anything I do from here on out, I'm going to mess it up and be stupid because I'm tired. And I started to just walk out. I did. I started to just go, I'm leaving. I know Bill's here, but I did everything I could today. I'm done. And I had a few older coaches come up to me and kind of go, hey, you're okay, man. Bill, like, if you do your work, Bill will never judge you for doing anything. You're okay to do that. And that made me feel so much better. And then, of course, that gave me the confidence to do it every night.
I just remember here in Buffalo, like Sean McDermott, early press conference. Maybe you remember, Jim, like he was talking about like how when he was leaving the building or when he'd get in, he'd do the math in your head. It's like, man, this dude's sleeping 2-3 hours a night, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, how productive are you doing your work if you're only sleeping that much? Like, I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember what he said.
I know.
It seems so counterproductive, and I'm sure he's not alone.
They're different animals, though, these guys. Like Jim will tell you, I will say, I mean, most head coaches were like the psycho kids who had crazy energy as a kid and, or like almost borderline ADD and all of those type of things to where, I could speak to my friend Kyle Shanahan. Sorry. Hold on a second. You guys still got me there?
We can hear you.
Am I still there?
Okay,
there. Sorry. Now I'm back. I don't know. That was my mom calling there for a second. What was I just saying there? I totally lost.
You were talking about coaches being almost they're psycho,
high energy. They can psycho. Like I could speak to Kyle Shanahan. Like I know he grinds and he doesn't need a lot of sleep. I've seen it throughout my whole life, whether I was in college with him or even in Tampa Bay in the early days when he was the quality control coach. He was made for it. He just has that type of energy, that type of DNA. And I think a lot of these coaches are amazing that way, where they can kind of just fight through it and still be pretty damn good with 3 and 4 hours of sleep.
I wonder if McDermott, I'd love to ask him if his sleep schedule is a little bit better now that Josh Allen has turned the corner a little. He's sleeping just a little better.
Probably better than after that Nate Peterman game in, San Diego or LA.
Hey,
yeah, right.
Hey, we drafted. That was Peterman that was our last draft. Peterman.
That's right.
Hey, I had hope. I like Peterman coming out. I mean, there's nothing not to like about Peterman other than that when he gets in a game, you just can't trust him. Everything else has been very good. I mean, but it's tough where he started.
Well, Chris, to your point, and I know we don't want to go too hard on Peterman right now, but that we took him we thought maybe he could develop into a 2.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we didn't. What happened was crazy. I mean, he caught everybody's. When he got to Buffalo, we were out, but the guys I knew that still worked there said, he blew everybody away with his. He learned the offense, right? We all know how that wins every coach over second day.
Yeah.
And then, when you watch him, he is accurate. He does make good decisions, and you're thinking, okay, maybe he has a shot. And then, oh my God, those lights went on. And Chris, we'll get into this later, but this is how you can do young quarterbacks so wrong. And that offense wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to take. That team wasn't good enough. No quarterback was going to have success in Buffalo at that point. Now, they might not have been as bad as he was for his little time here, but I'm telling you, and Chris, I know you'll agree, that quarterback position, you can be set up for success and failure as well.
No doubt. Listen, I'm all with you on those type of things. Yeah. Again, it's Patrick Mahomes is awesome, but we can't forget that he's got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins and Andy Reid, and they were the number 2 team in the AFC when he got drafted. And I love Mahomes. He's the best player in our sport. I know that. But you got to have support. You got to. I don't care who you are. Ryan Tannehill down in Miami. Yeah, okay, he didn't look that good. Oh, really? Well, why was he supposed to look so good? What on that team told us that he was supposed to be good? They were supposed to be good. Oh, wait, he got to a team in Tennessee. Oh, now he's a top 10 quarterback. I mean, so I that's why I'm a defender of Sam Darnold. You're surrounded by shit, and shit's all around you. You're going to get some shit on your arm and smell like shit. I don't care who you are. It's just you can't avoid it. So that it goes back to what we were saying earlier, Jim. It's just support system. These guys are not Superman. You've got to have the right support, whether that's scheme, players, whatever it is. There's only a few people in history that can really overcome, those type of obstacles and still make their teams competitive or really good. And that's a very short list, in my opinion. But that's a topic for another day.
I mean, I can't wait to dive into your top 40, but maybe we start at the top, like with your own career, Chris. Like, you had a team, God, in 06, right? Where I remember we've talked about it. My brother was a big Bucks fan. Our family, we went down to that playoff game. We're sitting, I think, right behind Edel Shepard. We thought that was a touchdown too in the moment, but that was a team that could have won it all. I mean, you did have some talent, both sides of the ball, it seemed. And but I don't know. I guess before that, let's jump into what probably everybody has maybe heard about with you, but don't really know the full story. The spleen.
Sure.
Man. Take us through that.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all know it was removed. We all know you could have lost your life, but what was it like to live it against Carolina, right? Early in the year?
Right. It was. Yep. So it was 05 was the season you were talking about, the playoff run.
That's right.
It was 06 wild card game, right? We played Washington there. To me, it's my favorite moment in my NFL career. I don't have that many moments, but to walk out and, I grew up NFL watching my dad every Sunday. I mean, my whole life has always been NFL. I want to get to the playoffs. I want to get to the Super Bowl as a player. So that was a dream come true for me. That really was, to play in that playoff game. Played pretty well. The stats won't say that. I had 2 balls batted at the line of scrimmage that ended up getting intercepted. But other than that, I played really good. And that of course, was the Calvin Johnson rule before Calvin Johnson was even known at that point, really. I mean, he was probably still at Georgia Tech, but I was unaware of that rule. Yeah, threw it to Edel Shepard. He caught it. 2 knees hit the ground. Then the rest of them fell to the ground. He lost the ball. And I was like, wait, he caught it. The 2 knees were down. It's a touchdown. So, yeah, that was a weird one. But then, yes, the next season, 06, we're the NFC South champs. We started out the year 0-2. I wasn't playing very good the first 2 weeks. I made some bad mistakes. We played the Ravens and the Falcons, who were pissed and angry. The Ravens, of course, it was, the first year with Steve McNair. They were real good. The next week was the unveiling of Michael Vick and the read option in the NFL. That was the first game ever in the history of the NFL, read option. I can still remember him faking the ball, all the work done, and keeping it around the edge, and Monty Kiffin's head almost blew off, our defensive coordinator. He was like, what do we do to defend this? Oh, no. And they ran for over like 300 yards on us that day. So now we're 0-2. It's week 3. It's the Carolina Panthers. They're our biggest rival in the division, and it's a big game for me. And we start out kind of slow offensively. I think I threw an interception on the first or second drive of the game, or the first drive of the game. The second drive of the game, you know, I got a curl route to my left. I'm about to throw it, and somebody flashed in front of it. So I pulled it back. The pocket's collapsing, and I'm going to throw the ball out of bounds because I know nobody's open. I can't get out of this. I'm throwing it out. We'll live to play another down. As I'm going back to throw it, big Chris Jenkins, right? You remember Chris Jenkins, the big nose tackle? I mean, one of the biggest humans I ever played against. And he hit me from the back, right? He hit me from the back just as I was like at the top of my release. And it extended me open. And Thomas Davis, who I saw the whole time, was running right at me. But he put the crown of his helmet right into the soft part of my stomach. And that was it. I mean, I didn't know what happened. Of course, you don't think about your spleen or internal organs getting hurt in a football game. I didn't know if I broke a rib and it was puncturing a lung or whatever it was. But because of the circumstances I laid out to you, I was extremely uncomfortable, but there was no fucking way I was coming out of the game. There was no way. There was nothing the doctor was going to say to me or anything. So a lot of people put the blame on the doctor at the time, and I would go, I'm a grown man. He wasn't taking me out unless, like, I saw there was an artery cut and I was bleeding to death. Little did I know I was bleeding to death. So I continued to play and took a lot of big hits as the game went on. So I think I hurt my spleen on that play, and then took some other hits later on that broke the hematoma on the spleen that was stopping the bleeding. And then it became free flow blood in my abdomen. And late in the third quarter, I think we had a play. It was 97 power king. And I went on hard two. Okay. You've heard Gruden, good old 97 power king, right? So Chris, let's run strong left 97 power kick. So I do it. I'm figuring, let me get Julius Peppers or one of these guys to slow the hell down. Let me go on a hard count. I'm underneath the center, and as I'm going, blue 85, and I'm looking around, the curtains are starting to come down on me. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? And like everything is going dark. I send a guy in motion. And I'm literally going, oh no, what am I going to do here? I'm going to have to grab this snap and just turn around blind and like stick the ball out and hope Cadillac Williams grabs it. Thank God our left guard jumped off sides. Dan Benning jumped off sides, and I took a knee, and I was on the verge of passing out. I went inside, I got an IV. I said, I feel a little bit better. I'm going out to finish the game. I'm going to finish it. I drive us down on a long drive. We get down to like the 2 or 1 yard line. We don't score a touchdown, but we kick a field goal to take the lead late in the game. And they end up kicking like a 56-yarder to win it, which is a dagger at the time. But man, after that, sorry for the long story here, I got Jake Delhomme ran over to me. I got a picture still. His head's tilted because he's going, dude, you don't look right. That's what he said to me. He goes, are you okay? You don't look right. And I was like, man, I'm messed up. I don't know what's wrong with me. I walked into the locker room. Gruden was talking to the team. I kind of just walked by because I just went back on the training table and laid down because I just had nothing. And they said, let's go to the emergency room. Maybe it's your spleen. They took me in there. CAT scan went down. By the time the CAT scan got down to my pelvic area, they ran out of the room and they said, oh, Chris, it's bad. Like, we got to go to the surgery now. And next thing I knew, they were cutting my uniform off me and shoving a catheter down my you-know-what hole. And it just was like torture. And I was just kind of sitting there, and now they're kind of drugging me up. They brought my wife in to say goodbye to me because they just said, Chris, we don't know. You've lost a ton of blood. I had lost 8 pints of blood, 8 or 9 pints of blood. And you only got 14 in your body. And next thing I knew, I woke up the next morning and John Gruden and Bruce Allen were standing over me in ICU, and I made it, thank God.
Holy shit. I mean, are you fearing for your life in there? Like, at what point are you thinking I might die? When did it become real?
I knew it was critical. I could still remember the surgeon, Dr. Echevarria, as they were like drugging me to put me out, right? I can remember him sitting there eating the apple, was looking at me. He was eating an apple, looking at me. And at that point, I was so miserable because I had so much blood in my abdomen. I couldn't breathe. So I was like real short breaths. And when you get like that, and I don't know if you guys have been in any situation similar to where I was literally like, take a machete and open me up. I do whatever you got to do. I can't go on like this. So I was at that point in just survival mode and like, do what you got to do to help me here. Yeah, I realized I was in trouble, but I wasn't thinking death. I could tell you that.
But you said goodbye to your wife too.
I said goodbye. And she came in, and I had a little girl at the time. It was just a few months old. And I was just like, oh, I'll be okay. I'm going to be okay. Go home and take care of Charlotte. I'll be all right. I kind of just shoot it off. I wasn't going to accept that. I mean, anybody that knows me knows I'm a fighter, the least. I mean, I might be an idiot and a blonde and from Jersey and all those things, but I'm a fighter. I'm not going to just give up.
Sorry, go ahead, Jim. I cut you off.
No, I was going to say the one thing I tell a lot of people is until you can see a training room after a game or that next day after the next 2 days after a game in the training room and what all you guys do to get ready for that next game. I didn't, as an area scout, I was never with the team, but then once I was with the Saints, Coach Payton had us in a lot. The Eagles Coach Reed would let us around the games. And I'd go into the locker room after games, and it was almost like jaw dropping to me to see how did you just play? You can't even walk right now.
Right.
Like, a lot of guys, and especially the O linemen, the D linemen. I mean, their stuff takes tolls on them right afterwards. I mean, I know, and it's just
it's amazing.
Amazing. That's what I was gonna say. Until you really see, and that's why I'm always, and Tyler is too. I'm always pro player for everything. We all have jobs because of you guys. And we have lives because of you guys. And people do not understand what goes into even getting from week to week.
No, it's a brutal sport. And,
brutal.
People played high school football, people played college football, and sometimes they think they can relate. And
no,
I always go, I've had some college friends who never played in the NFL and all that. And then they bring them on a sideline for a game and they can't get over it. Yeah. They're just like, man, the field seems so small. I can't get over how big everybody is, how fast everybody is, the collisions themselves. Again, these are all the alpha locker room leader, love football, the best athletes from your college teams now on the same field in the NFL. And of course, it's grown men. And it's supporting your family. And it's, people that are 38 and 21 all together, and it's craziness, as you're saying. And it's as physical now as ever. And that's where, you get into like the Toradol conversation. That's where it's interesting because Toradol is a great thing and a horrible thing all together.
Right.
And I don't know what they're going to do with it because if they don't have Toradol, I don't know how guys are going to be able to make it on a week-to-week basis. But at the same time, the Toradol does a lot of negative because it makes you numb. And you don't even know you're hurt sometimes, or you might be hurt. And now you take the Toradol and you don't realize you're hurting yourself even more because you are numb. And, listen, that's why we got to be player friendly because it's a brutal sport and it's such a short career span.
Just back to you quick, Chris, how do you return to the field after this all, after you nearly die, after you're saying goodbye and they're tearing you open and doing like you return to play as long as you could in this sport that we're talking about?
I almost tried to play later that year. So later that year, there was like 3 weeks left. And I was like, man, I don't know if they're going to bring me back as a starter. I didn't play that good before we lost the spleen. And then, of course, I got hurt. I was like, man, I was thinking maybe I should play the last few weeks and remind them of the guy that, hey, I'm the guy that took you to the playoffs 2 years ago and, brought us back in the fourth quarter 6 times in that year and all those type of things. So I went to the doctor really pleading to go, I think I can play again, like in early December. And he was like, why? What are you, crazy? He's like, and of course that kind of stopped it. He was just like, you're no way in any shape to take a hit there in your abdomen, do anything like that. And here's the worst part about it, guys. So, yeah, I came back to play. I mean, Ty, that's all I know. I grew up with a psycho father and Phil Simms, who played for Bill Parcells. And I mean, if he had a broke ankle or his shoulder was, sprained or whatever, he was going to play. I mean, that's just all I knew. And I love the sport. But what happened after was really, I think, the most frustrating and worst part for me, because I got progressively physically worse from about that point on. My muscles started to atrophy. Since my core was split open down the middle, those core muscles were shut off. The body's smart. When it knows it has a huge injury, the brain tells some of those muscles, hey, turn off so you don't pull that scar and do those things. The problem is it starts to kill other muscles if you don't do the right things to keep them going. And all of a sudden, I realized, like, I couldn't do sit-ups and I couldn't throw the football. I had one of the strongest arms in the NFL, and all of a sudden I couldn't throw it harder than I could in 8th grade.
Wow.
And I really had to go a long time without answers or finding someone that could help me get back on the right track. And that was really maybe some of the most frustrating part of the whole thing, because my will was there. I wanted to play. I didn't care about the injury. I was over it. And I just couldn't show people for maybe a year and a half that I was back and like close to what I was. I finally got close to that. The Denver Broncos signed me in 2009, and I was the backup there. But I just never got a chance to play again and show everybody what I was. And I think I got chalked up as like, he was never the same after that injury. And that really ended up being the end of my career when all said and done.
This question I always like to ask you guys after your career. Were you upset on draft day being a 3rd round? Did you think you were going to go higher? And were you upset on draft day? And do you feel like you were set up for success, or can you look back and say, geez, guys, that's not how you grow a young quarterback?
Sure. No, I was upset on draft day. I was. I ended up being like, it was musical chairs. I ended up being the odd quarterback out, basically, because I was part of the year with Rex Grossman, Carson Palmer, Byron Leftwich.
Yep.
I really thought the Ravens might take me in the early 20s. They took Kyle Bowler, which still pisses me off to this day. I love Kyle Bowler. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns in college, but he threw the ball through the goalpost on his knee, which I could have done too. I should have made the fucking video, but that got him drafted. I don't know. I had a little bit of a label from Texas because we couldn't beat Oklahoma. It was my fault, right? And I couldn't win the big game. And that became a little bit of like the aura around me. And here's the last part that really, I think, hurt me that day. One of my last visits was to the Raiders and Al Davis. And Al, I felt like Al loved me. I mean, Al told me they were thinking about taking me with one of they had the last 2 picks of the 1st round from the John Gruden trade. And he told me they were legitimately going to think about taking me with one of those last 2 picks. So I thought, like, the night before the draft, at the very least, the Raiders will save the day for me. Well, it didn't happen. And, then I ended up falling the 3rd round. And to answer your second part of the question, I do feel like I was set up the right way with Gruden. I mean, was it perfect? Maybe not. I mean, listen, he's a pain in the ass. We know that, but he was the pain in the ass I needed at that point in my life too. He made me better mentally, physically. He made me a better leader. He taught me a ton of football that I'm always grateful for and everything like that. And really, I think for their set of circumstances with a team that had just won the Super Bowl, trying to balance the salary cap and all those type of things, I really think Gruden did about as good as he could do to try to support me and everything that way.
Hey, didn't like Vince Wilfork hit you pretty good too in 05? That was another story that in the back of my brain. You like that
story, don't you? Yeah. You mean when I had when my male parts were Laker colors? Yeah.
That's what it was.
Laker colors, or my twig and berries were Baltimore Ravens colors when I woke up later in the week.
It's a lot of Vince Wilfork in that region,
Oh, it was the biggest physical beating I ever took in a game. It was the only game in my life. We played them in 05, early December. And, of course, they had won 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls. We went up there in a cold day. You know, Tampa up in a cold day in the Northeast, that ain't like a recipe for success, right? So we struggled. But, man, Richard Seymour, Willie McGinnis, Roosevelt Colvin, they hit me so many fucking times in the first half of the game. It was the only game in my career where I remember in the fourth quarter going, I'm sore already. Usually I'm not sore till like later that night when I'm getting into bed or waking up the next morning. But I had that type of soreness as the game was going. And early in the fourth quarter, he put his face mask like right on my pelvic bone, right above my male parts there. And I'm telling you, it hurt as bad as anything other than my spleen injury I ever had in my career. And I woke up the next morning and I had Lakers purple and yellow all down there. And yeah, I had a lot of interesting colors down there the rest of the week.
I just remember like a high school basketball game once. A kid went to save it, and you know, like back in the day, you take the ball, you try to chuck it off another player,
Yeah, throw it at him, right?
And it was like right in front of me, a direct shot, boom, right on the male.
Yeah,
you know, whatever you want to call it.
Good thing
there.
I didn't hit the male. He didn't hit the male parts. He hit the bone right above it, right?
Okay. See,
So
this was a direct shot.
I know that I'm sure hurt you a lot.
I just remember
no
like
doubt.
the ref was the only one who saw it, and he's like, "Son, are you okay?" Like, holy, oh my god! I remember having to literally, you know, feel around, make sure I was still intact. You know, am I still good to go? And like, there's that moment there where you're like, "Holy shit, what just happened?" I'd imagine.
Yeah, no, I at least didn't have that. I wasn't worried like I had a third testicle now or something like that. I just was like such a weird spot to get hit. And you know, as Jim or you may know, like NFL football players don't wear cups. Most of the public, I'm shocked, they don't realize that. They think we all wear cups. There's just it's too constricting and annoying.
Totally.
And NFL players are looking for any advantage they can to get faster, move a little bit better. And that thing's annoying down there. So, you know, it's amazing more shots don't directly happen to that region than it actually happens.
I think the only person on our high school football team who wore a cup was the center, and I was quarterback, just because he, you know, we were really good friends, but you know, we weren't that friendly. He just wore a cup for a little separation, you know, for the direct snaps.
No, that
he was
happened.
it though. I think that was the only person.
That's it. After you're right. That was the last center I had that worked up. When I got to college, I was like, wait, there's nothing here. This is what? Okay, I guess we're playing football. And it was that way from here on out, you know?
Oh my God. Well, we could talk about, you know, cups for a while here, but we got to get into this ranking because I mean, I think of what's the old Jack Black quote in School of Rock? Those who don't do teach, and those who don't teach gym. So you're on all with us teaching gym now, just talking about sports. So it's a good place to be, right? Like you're not going to get hit, and you're not working these insane hours, and you know we can just make rankings and talk. It's a good.
I'm not complaining. I'm not. Yeah, you know it's great. There's no doubt. And I love talking about the sport, even when I'm not on doing something like this or whatever. I'm talking to one of my friends in the NFL, my dad, somebody else, and I'm talking football. So it's I'm definitely not complaining about my job. That's for sure.
Was there a quarterback that was better than what you expected when you really put this list together and you're watching film? And was there a quarterback that was worse than you expected?
Ooh, all right. Let me look at my list here just to refresh myself here.
And it's pinned on Chris's Twitter timeline for anybody out there looking for it.
Yes, you're right. It's all pinned there, anything like that. I think, listen, the one guy I'll just say at a base level that surprises me every year, and people always give me flack about how high I rank him. And I think this is the year everyone's going to go, wait, this guy's good because his team's winning and now he's good, is Matthew Stafford. That's the first guy that every year I come away breaking him down going, damn, I don't know. Detroit maybe would have won one game if they didn't have Matt Stafford, or maybe they would have won 2 or 3. I don't know, but he keeps them in every ball game. He is the team. Like we talk about a lot of, like we were saying with Ryan Tannehill, you know, like what about Detroit said Matt Stafford should bring them to the playoffs the last 8 or 9 years? What on their team is worthy of that? So he's one guy that I will always say is just, I think, you know, vastly underrated in the public's eyes. At least in my opinion. that would be one that jumps out to me. I think the guys that like surprised me also in a good way. I brought up Tannehill. Derek Carr's year was phenomenal. The more I broke it down, there was nothing you could say about Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr, efficiency, accuracy. I think he let it go more this year as far as making plays. That was my big complaint about him last year in my rankings was like, hey, man, stop trying to be so perfect. You're too talented. Like, let it fly a little bit. Don't always settle for the 4-yard check down. Let's hit the 70-yard post. You're capable of doing it. And I think when I went back and watched him, that was kind of one of those where I was like, damn, that was really a really damn good year by Derek Carr. And I hope people back off from him. So I think those are some names that jump out to me. I don't know. Of course, the ones I thought negatively were the ones towards the end of my list. And, I don't know if there's one that jumps out to me more than the other. I think the one I have my eye on the most, just to give you a name, of course, is Tua. I still have Tua outside the top 32 of my starting. I mean, he's not a top 32 quarterback, in my opinion. I got questions. I had questions about him coming out in the draft. I think, again, everybody liked Tua, but yeah, I like Tua too. We're going to bring Nick Saban and Alabama with him. That was my question. I'm just still not sure how good he can be in the NFL. I think he can be a starting quarterback and good that way, but can he ever live up to top 5 pick of the draft billing? That's where I got to see it to believe it. And that's where it'll be a big year, for him to prove people like me wrong. But I'll say this too. If Deshaun Watson and those rumors you heard about Miami were real. And I think that speaks a lot to what Miami may feel about Tua too. And they feel like it's a big year for him as well.
Well, that's why I respect what the Rams did so much. I mean, there's a quarterback that you can say what you want about Goff. I'm not a huge Goff fan, but he obviously is a good enough quarterback that you can win with, and proven he got him to a Super Bowl. For them to get rid of a quarterback that they used in the Super Bowl says so much about how they feel about Stafford. That's really all it says. It's not a knock on Goff. It's just,
right.
Hey, they value Stafford as a guy that you can't find, and they're putting all of it on him. So, and I agree with you on Carr so much. Carr last year played so well. It's a shame that we don't get to see Carr and Stafford in the playoffs. Like, I want to watch those guys in the playoffs. Yeah. And I 100% agree with you on Tua. Tyler knows it. I've been talking all year about Tua, where I don't want to be too hard on him because I want to give him another,
right.
Rookie coming off an injury.
Right.
So, but wow, he didn't show me much this year. I would agree. I don't see it. And I think Miami, obviously, they're in the mix for anytime you hear about Aaron Rodgers or Watson, or Miami's in the mix. So that tells you all you need to know.
No, you're exactly right. Sometimes you just got to read between the lines a little bit, and that says a lot about what's really going on in the NFL. And yeah, I mean, I know those rumors are real. They're not. I know that. I've been saying that since back in the spring, and yeah, I think it does speak a lot to the situation. And back to Stafford. Yeah, you made the points. It's not that, of course. Again, yeah, you don't have to have a top 5 or top 10 quarterback to win in football. Mm-hmm. But I think where McVay got finally frustrated was he realizes maybe he had a quarterback that wasn't maximizing what was available in his offense, right?
Right.
And I think that's where it's going to be, beautiful with Stafford. Now, here we go. We're going to go run the zone. Oh, okay, fake the speed sweep, run the zone. Fake the speed sweep, fake the zone, play action pass. Fake the speed sweep, fake the zone, bootleg. And now instead of running the bootleg where Jared Goff might have been looking for the guy in the flat or the 10-yard shallow crosser, McVay is going to be like, wait, on the outside, we got a 25-yard comeback. You're Matt Stafford. Just throw a rifle in there. Oh, wait, this week, instead of running that 25-yard comeback, do a stutter and now run to the post, 60 yards down the field. Don't worry. Stafford can hit that if he's falling backwards. No problem. And that's where it gets exciting for that offense, because McVay's offense isn't overly complicated, but he has a great little formula that keeps you in check and keeps you off of all of his other things. And now when you have that and Stafford, to me, great quarterbacks and great offenses make you defend every square inch of the field. And that's where McVay and Stafford together, I think, can make that offense a lot more dangerous.
Can Trey Lance do the same eventually for your friend Kyle Shanahan in San Fran?
Oh, Well, listen, that's a big question. I don't know if he's going to do it this year. I don't know where that's going to go. I mean, again, listen, I'm Kyle's my buddy. He's one of my best friends in the world. But I'm still shocked they drafted Trey Lance at 3. I can't lie. Nor would I have traded 3 first-round picks to go up to number 3 to get Trey Lance either. And I understand. I see Trey Lance's talent and all those type of things too. But there's also just things that scare me too, to where I wouldn't have made that type of move to go get him. I think they honestly could have probably stayed at, listen, they could have stayed at 11 or 12. Where were they at? 12, I think, originally before they made the trade. They could have stayed there and got him. From everybody I know in football, right before the draft, Trey Lance's agent was calling every team in football going, if the 49ers don't take him at 3, I don't know who's taking him. He didn't have a place for him. So, that's interesting. And, of course, it's a guy and a player that, yes, has a lot of high-end talent, but hasn't played a ton of football, played 1 AA football, where they never really asked him. They were never in a game in his career where they were like, you got to drop back 30 times today and dice the defense up or we can't win. No, they were the best running team in 1 AA football. So he got to always play off of that. He never ran a 2-minute drill his whole college career. Never ran a 2-minute drill. Let alone there's some things mechanically that I got to see fixed throwing the ball before I can totally buy in. But having said all of that, okay, Shanahan's a genius. Shanahan's going to find ways when he does play to run him and do things with his great running game and now add him to this element that I think can make the 49ers very dangerous. Whether he's the starting quarterback or Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know. It sounds like it will be Garoppolo, but I would be shocked if there's not a Trey Lance package and a handful of games this year where he gets in there to give the defense a different look.
Do you give Kyle hell after that pick? Like, do you just call him up and
I don't give him hell. I mean, he knows how I feel. Yeah. I mean, he knows that I would have taken Mac Jones all day long in that one. And listen, I always thought he was going to take Mac Jones. I mean, I looked like one of the biggest idiots in sports media because people were like, well, he's your best friend. And I always said from the start, he didn't tell me who he's going to pick. I just know my friend and know the type of quarterback he's always liked. And it was always that Drew Brees, Matt Ryan type of guy. But I think there was a little bit of he's enamored by the playmaking ability of Trey Lance and the high-end talent we talked about. And I also think he probably looks at it like, man, this will do another wrinkle to my offense that'll keep everybody off of my other stuff. And it'll be hard to emulate or steal his stuff off of that as well.
Chris, you made the Trey Lance thing it was hard for me. I only evaluated 2. I could only get 2 games of tape on him. So it was the little game that they played last year just for him, which was
right, which wasn't great. Right.
And then the national championship that he played in, I didn't think he played that, or it was against James Madison.
Yeah. 2 years ago. Right.
I didn't think he played that well in that game. And I'm sitting there saying, okay, they're not drafting him based off what they watched on tape. They're drafting him on what they can do with him. And that's scary.
So.
Yeah, I think that's scary. But Chris, I wanted to bring up another point you made. I didn't realize until I was lucky enough to start with Andy Reid and really learn football with Sean Payton. But the amount of 2-minute offense and 4-minute offense is a big thing. Because when you're a good team, like we were in New Orleans, Coach Payton was always like, hey, we're going to score to get the lead. We're going to run the ball in the 4th quarter, and we're going to hold the ball to win the game. That is an amazing thing to be able to do. When you have the right quarter, that 2-minute and 4-minute offense in the 4th quarter, you can't even – we practiced that so much in New Orleans. I couldn't even believe it, how much 2-minute we did. It was like it just – I never – when you grow up, you just think it is so – every NFL game comes down to it.
Exactly. That's the point, right? I mean, you watch the 1 o'clock slate of games and you go, wait, there's 8 games on and 6 of them are coming down to the last drive of the game.
Last game.
And it's just like what quarterback can make the plays or, it's 2 great quarterbacks. Which guy's going to get the ball last?
Yep.
Right. I mean, damn, if you ask me, you watch the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson, that's all they play for. They just go, let's just keep it close so Russell can have the ball last, and then we'll win it that way. I've never seen a team take that approach more than they do. They're unreal. I've heard Kyle say the same thing. He's like, it's the scariest thing in the world. He's been like, it's like they just play to keep it close so he can have the ball in the last drive. So that is crucial. There's no doubt. Now, the 4-minute point, though, that's where, Trey Lance could be dangerous for sure. And when you take around Shanahan's, the most creative run system in all of football, one of the best offensive lines in football, a great tight end, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and all of that, that can be really tough. To your point, if you have a lead, trying to stop that offense with Shanahan is going to be really tough.
We've got a lot of Bills listeners, so I'd be remiss, Chris, if I didn't give you a chance to
How dare
pander,
you
pander,
get to
please.
the Bills?
Yeah, they want that chum in the water right now. Why Josh Allen is better than the quarterback you said is the best ever, who also has gone 1-4 in the NFC Championship game.
Well, let's start there. See, I don't like that you said that, okay? 1-4 in the NFC Championship game, and I'm not sure, other than the one he won, he was never on the team that was better. Never.
Caleb Haney almost took him down.
Who's that?
I said Caleb Haney almost took him down that day at Soldier Field too. So.
Well, yeah, it wasn't pretty. This is why I always go to like Aaron Rodgers to me is the greatest quarterback ever because, never great defenses. Okay, he's got decent weapons around him his whole career. Never like a top-notch running game, but Green Bay's Super Bowl contender every year. Why? It's because of one guy. That's all there is to it. And he can't play defense and recover onside kicks to beat the Seattle Seahawks either. Like somebody's got to help the fucking guy out every now and then. All right. So that would be where I would defend Aaron Rodgers. And that's where, you go through Aaron Rodgers and, because I love him, quickest to 40,000 yards, quickest to 300 touchdowns, the most insane interception to touchdown ratio in the history of football. It blows everybody out. And he's a gunslinger. And he's like, takes care of the ball better than Drew Brees or Tom Brady. And it's not even close. So that's where I look at Rodgers and just go, man, if he was in New England with Belichick and all that, it'd be a totally different story. And I'll never, not defend him that way. But if we get to right now, this past year, 2021, and all of those things, I think if you put Aaron Rodgers on the Buffalo Bills, you don't have the same results that the Buffalo Bills have. At this point of Josh Allen's career to where Rodgers is, to me, okay, yes, Rodgers, better decision maker, right? Might take care of the ball better than Josh Allen. But not enough of a difference there to me to go, wait, that part's better. But wait, all the things Josh Allen does, all the great plays, the running aspect he brings to the table, the quarterback design runs, and then, either Allen or Mahomes are the best off-schedule football quarterbacks in the NFL. They're just like Allen can sit in the pocket with people around him, Aaron Donald grabbing him. Oh, it doesn't matter, 20-yard pass on the money, boom. Then he can sit in the pocket, dodge 7 people, run out of the pocket, threaten the line of scrimmage, but looking to throw. And it's like, it's just pick your poison. Oh, wait, you want to come up and get me? Oh, then I'm going to throw a 40-yard laser by you. Oh, you're going to drop back? Well, then I'm going to run 30 yards down the sideline. He's almost unstoppable that way. And to me, you could make a case for him as being he was as valuable as any quarterback in football last year. He easily could have been the MVP for my money. It was right there with Rodgers, and I know how special of a year it was. But yes, I think at their point of their careers where they are right now, where Rodgers is starting to decline a little bit, and I say that, just a little bit. I know the year he had. And Allen just continues to go this way. And some of the stuff he brings to the offense, I just don't think you can quantify on a stat sheet. The playmaking ability, like I said, his ability to score. Nobody has rushed for more touchdowns at the quarterback position the last 3 years in the NFL than Josh Allen. Yeah, that's right. Did you hear me, everybody? Nobody, not Lamar Jackson. Nobody has run for more touchdowns than Josh Allen. And those things don't get put on your quarterback rating or anything like that. And it has great value to that Buffalo Bills team, who hasn't been a very good running team, especially last year. And they needed that element from him. So sorry for the long answer there. But, yeah, I love Josh Allen. You know that. I love him coming in the draft. And he's a stud. He's a superstar. He's one of the best players in the NFL.
Chris, the one thing that people don't talk enough about, especially with Josh or any of these young quarterbacks, like if you can win your team over, okay, when your defense and offensive line, when they wake up every day and say, we have the right quarterback, we'll do anything to win, you can't put a value on that. In New Orleans, I saw it. Every single guy was like, we are going to do whatever we can to get Drew Brees to the Super Bowl because we know if we get there, we can win. That's how the Bills believe. That's how this whole team, the organization, sees Josh Allen. Like, they complete trust in him, and that's hard to find. And you're right. They don't need to get rid of him. They don't ever need to get rid of him.
No, he's a lifer. I mean, he's a really, really special talent.
Yep.
He's arguably got the strongest arm in football.
Yep.
He's a huge man, and he's definitely one of the, other than Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, if you make me take the next best running quarterback in football, I'm taking Josh Allen. I am. I'm probably going to take him over Deshaun Watson, who I think is a special runner, that way too. Yes, Josh Allen is one of those talents, to your point, Jim, where the Bills are going to believe they can win any game, anytime. Because when you have a guy like that, it's like Rodgers or Mahomes or Brady or whoever else. You just go, man, we got that guy. We got a chance today. There's no doubt. And I even think back about the AFC Championship game. This spoke words to me. Chris Jones leading up to the game. They remind me a lot of us a few years ago. That's what he said about Josh Allen and the Bills. Like, yeah, you mean a freakish quarterback who could just throw lasers anywhere he wants over the field? So I thought that spoke loudly. And, yeah, I mean, Allen, just some of the performances last year, I think that's what jumped out to me really more than not, is when I went back and watched it, as awesome as Rodgers was and everything like that, there were a lot of games where the Bills, I went, okay, the defense is playing good, but it's not great. Wait, there's no run game today. They're not pass protecting that well, but they're up by 20. Why? Why are they up by 20? Because this guy is making throws that nobody other than maybe Mahomes at this point of his career can make. And I think that, people lose that in translation. I know how my buddy, Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan felt about him after they saw him on that Sunday or Monday night game. I mean, they were like, well, their defense played perfect all night. It didn't matter. He just bought time, avoid rushers, threw the ball down the field, did those type of things. And that's where he's really special that way, let alone he does all the mental stuff right too. And that's to me where like Mahomes and Allen have changed the game. They know exactly what they're supposed to do. I know the right reads to get the protection and all that. And they don't do things textbook. Like I'll go to the playoff game against the Colts. He has a corner blitz by Kenny Moore coming off the edge. He sees him the whole way. He knows he's got to throw a hot route off of it. But he knows if he buys him a time and makes that guy miss, he's going to be able to hit another big play down the field. And he just says, fuck it, I'll make this guy miss. I know coach told me to throw it hot all week, but he's not going to complain when I throw this 30-yard completion down the field. And so the constant pressure they put on the defense, that's another thing that just can't be quantified in quarterback rating and stats. The whole defensive game plans for when you face an Allen or Mahomes is just all about, wait, how do we stop him from making this throw? How do we stop him from scrambling? How do we keep him in the pocket? It's all about them. And last thing I'll say, because I know I'm blabbering a lot, but I think what gave me confidence in Josh Allen is 2 years ago, I went up to Buffalo in the offseason. And I loved his game after his rookie year. I was already all in. I saw the potential. But when I went up there and hung out with him for a day, I saw the things that you kind of mentioned already, Jim, where it was like the team was already eating out of his hand. They all loved him. I could tell he was the leader of the football team after his rookie year. The training staff, the coaches, the front office, the players, everybody was excited to see Josh Allen and be around Josh Allen. And that's one, because he's a good kid. But two, they know he's got talent and he's living it. He lives the sport. He's a gym rat. And that to me says, superstar all day long. And I think that's what he'll be or continue to be.
Phenomenal breakdown, man. It's It'll be interesting. I mean, he's got to get past Mahomes now, right? We had Jeff
Well-
Schwartz on here, and he was breaking it down, Jim, right, on how they was it the corner? Somebody would blitz him in his face all game, and he wasn't himself that night. So that's the bar.
Yeah, well,
now.
they got overmatched, and that was a good defense. And here's another thing I'll say to stick up for Josh Allen, because there's a lot of Josh Allen haters out there, right? Because there's some people that still won't get off their draft evaluation,
Right?
and they
Right.
won't
That's what I
self-evaluate
was-
themselves.
Yes.
They, like, at some point, you got to self-evaluate and go, you know what? I think I was wrong. But there's a group in the media right now that still are like, that was just an aberration. That's just a 1 year. We don't know how that happened. What? No, we do know how it happened. Your evaluation in college was horrible, and you need to get off of it. That's really. But like, here's the thing I was going to say. Hey, It's a tough matchup, Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City knows that offense a little bit. They've had great experience playing New England. Dayball runs the New England offense. And when you have no run game, and then you have a guy like Steve Spagnuolo who does every defense under the sun and will do stuff that you haven't prepared for and all that, that's where it's tough. And the last thing I'll say is I think the weapons people have last year, because of the haters, they overrate the weapons in Buffalo at times. You know, last year people were talking like John Brown was Odell Beckham Jr. And I was like, wait, no. He just signed a $1 million free agent contract with
Raiders.
Where the hell did he have the Raiders?
Yeah.
Right. So relax. He's not Odell Beckham Jr. Cole Beasley, very good, but this is not Julian Edelman or Wes Welker. Let's calm down. You got Stephon Diggs, who's a top 5-ish wide receiver in football. You got Dawson Knox, who's, I think, an up-and-coming stud at tight end. But, like, people tried to make them like there was one of the best skill groups in football last year. And I want to go, no. Negative Ghost Rider. It's a good skill group with a absolute great quarterback that's making a lot of these guys look like they're great. And that's, it's a lot of pressure on Josh Allen. I think, to me, there's more pressure on him than Rodgers or Mahomes or some of the other top quarterbacks, because I think more is on him than some of these other guys. And I think Buffalo realizes that, and that's why they've been talking about the run game, and they're going to try to improve the defense and not have to depend on him making so many plays all the time.
And I'm sorry we've kept you so long, Chris, but one other quarterback you loved out of college. I just rewatched it the other day. Your breakdown was spot on. Jordan Love. If he's good, you just ship Aaron Rodgers' ass out of town, right? If you're Green Bay, it's easy as that.
Well, like, that whole situation's messed up. I mean, it really is. How they informed or handled Rodgers, I mean, that was all bad. We know that.
It wouldn't have changed anything, right? He still would have been pissed off, even if they told him.
Probably. There's no doubt. I mean, listen, I don't understand the drafting of the guy at that point anyways. This is 2020 we're talking about. Quarterbacks, guys like Aaron Rodgers can definitely play to their 40s. You mosquito touches a quarterback now, they throw a flag. So you can play a lot longer than my dad's day in the 80s and all of that type of stuff. So I didn't understand the pick itself. You're in the Super Bowl window with a quarterback that was clearly one of the 5 best in football still. So, and then Jordan Love, like, I got real excited when I first watched him on film. I got like, oh man, his good is like, he can throw some lasers. But the more I watched, the more I came away going, man, it's raw. There's a lot of things we got to work on here and all of those type of things. And we'll see where it goes with Jordan. Again, like to what Jim said earlier, it's loud. Like he was saying about Tua, it speaks loudly that he didn't even put on a uniform last year, that he didn't dress for one football game. He was the first round pick, and he never dressed in the uniform. I think that tells you how raw. And I think within that, emboldened Rodgers to make more of a power play, because he was like, oh, yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to be ready anytime soon. So you better kiss my butt and kiss it good while I'm here. And, of course, they haven't. And I don't know where that goes. But Jordan Love, certainly, this is like a huge preseason for him. He's got to kind of show us what he's all about this year a little bit.
And I don't think he shows up day one at training camp. Rodgers, that is. I mean, any prediction you want to shoot out there? Like what?
I'm going to say he's going to be there.
Wow.
I'll say this, and I know, I mean, you've written some articles about Green Bay, so, you maybe know more people than I do up there. But, like, the one thing I always go back to, Rodgers is very aware. He's very self-aware. I think he's aware of his legacy, everything like that. He's still like, end of the prime of his career, whatever. He's still got great years left in him. I just can't see him missing the year. And I will say this too. He has no problem with anybody in the coaching staff and no problem with any player on the team. It's all front office. And I think that makes it easier. Like if it was the head coach he was pissed at and all that, I'd probably be like, yeah, he's not going to be there the first week or the first few days. But because of those circumstances, I think he will be there. Their team being good, he knows he only has so many chances. And I just don't think, like, part of his legacy right now is going to be stats. And I don't think he can throw away that year right now either if he wants to worry about his all-time legacy and those type of things as well.
That's a great point. He does care deeply about legacy, stats, and just to miss a whole year, it's a matter of how dug in he is. And when he's dug in, he's pretty dug in. It's been the number one story all offseason for a reason, right? We've probably talked about it too much on here, but it's so fascinating.
No, it is. Well, we've never had anything like it. I mean, I don't think in any sport ever that I can remember where it's like, wait, the MVP, certainly one of the 3, 4, 5 best players in all of football. The team did him dirty, and now, of course, he's letting it known that he wants to do them dirty, basically. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any like similar circumstances there that really compare with what we're seeing right now.
If he plays well, he forces him to trade Jordan Love. I can't get past that. It's like, what's the problem? I guess, okay, you're unhappy with the pick. It's not the first or last time the team took a quarterback when that quarterback felt he could play. So maybe he does kind of revert to that, take a deep breath. I don't know.
Well, that's where we get into the preseason is going to be big for Jordan Love and his future everywhere. Whether he gives enough confidence to Green Bay to go, oh, okay, fine. We're, the year's over. Rodgers played well, but we're going to trade him. Yep, we're going to stick with our formula, what we do here in Green Bay, and go to our next, phase of life, right? They do have a formula they adhere by that I respect. I really do. I mean, they've been relevant for 20 years, right? So they're always in the playoff picture. I like all that. But where I always tell people when they go, well, look at them, they're always good, and I go, well, but wait, context matters here. We got the Green Bay Packers for the last 24 years have had 2 of the 6 greatest quarterbacks in the history of the sport, and they've won 2 Super Bowls. Something's wrong with that, So at times you got to get away from your formula and go, wait, the formula is good, but right now we're just in this special window. We might have to break out of our mold and do something different. We might have to sign a free agent wide receiver, or do something like that. But they refuse to do that type of stuff. And I just think all of it is like just frustrated Rodgers to the nth degree, especially when he sees, he's friends with Brady. He's seen the support he's gotten in New England. And now he goes to Tampa and they put a freaking all-star team around him. He's pissed. So he wants success too.
He should just take some pay cuts like Brady then, right? Let him sign some guys and find a Giselle who makes more than him.
I'm going to correct you there. Tom Brady never took a pay cut. He didn't raise my hand and go into New England and go, I'll take less. New England said, here's your offer, and you could take it or go somewhere else. And he said yes. That's what happened there. Tom Brady, early in his career, his negotiating motto was, I won't take $1 less than Peyton Manning. He went through a phase in his career in 2011, 12, 13, right, where he did not play good football. They were good still, but as we've been trying to tell you the whole time here, you don't have to have a super – he was good but not superstar good. They didn't draft Jimmy Garoppolo in 2014 because they were like, man, this guy's still top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in football. Let's draft Jimmy G so we can have him sit here for 5 years and then trade him to another team. They drafted Jimmy G because they were like, man, is it coming to an end with Brady? And that 14 season, when it became on to Cincinnati, Brady changed his game. I was there in 12 and in leading into 13, and he was the worst down the field thrower in all of football. Anything 10 plus yards, Tom Brady was the worst quarterback in football. All they talked about when I was there was, You push the ball down the field, push the ball down. He became obsessed with dinking and dunking. And that's when they started to put the strangle on him about the contract. So again, I love Tom Brady, but I'm not going to let every bullshit narrative go through and just add to his legend all the time. Okay. Sorry.
Hey, even when we disagree, I love talking to you, because it's like I can see that logic with Aaron Rodgers in 2019. Like, they did go to the NFC Championship game and they got shellacked by, Shanahan's Niners. But God, that Week 17 against Detroit, he was not that good. I remember watching the game. It's like, just his fastball wasn't there. It was a little inaccurate. Sure. There was like just enough to justify, okay, bridge the present with the future, develop a guy for a couple years, and then he turns it on and wins the MVP, and he's phenomenal. So maybe there's something to be said for that too. Like, you bring in a guy's replacement, you piss him off, and
I hear you.
Takes the quarterback to another level.
I think there's something real there. There's no doubt. I mean, we saw the Broncos do that with Nick Maddox, right? Back in the day, they did it to John Elway in the early 90s. You remember that one? That was another one where you're like, what the hell is Dan Reeves and the Denver Broncos doing? Are you crazy? But it did. It lit a fire under Elway's ass and kind of gave him a second run to his career. I mean, there is something to that. There's no doubt. But it's a delicate situation. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think Rodgers felt like he was anywhere near where we need to draft a quarterback type of combo yet. And I think that's where it's different. Brady, I think back in 2014, I think he knew a little bit like, man, I haven't been playing my best. I know we're good, but the 2013 AFC Championship game, they played the Denver Broncos. The Broncos just stopped LeGarrette Blount. They let Brady have every throw he wanted down the field. He couldn't hit it. And that's what led the Patriots to go, oh, shit, maybe it's coming to an end here with Brady. And, of course, he fixed that. And that's what's crazy about Brady. I mean, I would argue the last 5 years of his career were better, or he's better now than he was, 2009 through 2013, which is insane. It really is. I mean, Brady's amazing. He's another animal and still has a great arm and tough as hell and shit. He's Tom Brady.
Well, he's no Chris Sims, getting blasted in the chest and getting cut open and nearly losing his life. So, man,
it's the one thing awesome. I got on him.
Dude, thanks so much for hanging out with us. That was incredible, Chris.
Anytime, Tyler. Jim, it was great conversations. I enjoyed it, man. I hope I didn't talk too much. My bad.
God. No, that was amazing, and everybody should check you out. What, just is it at Chris Sims? What's your Twitter handle again?
I am C-Sim, what the hell am I? At C-Sims, at C-Sims QB. And then I'm at Sims on Button on Instagram. I mean, this social media crap, man. It confuses me at times.
And PFT Live every morning. Check it out.
Sunday Night Football, when we get into the season, doing all that. Yep. They got me working. They got me doing the full ringer for NBC. It's a lot of fun working with them.
Man, it's fantastic to see. I'm so glad that you're getting out there more. I mean, we've got to have more people like you in the business. So just keep it up, man. And thanks for making time for us here at Go Along. We really appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Anytime. Jim, Tyler, you be good. Talk to you guys soon, all right?
All righty. We'll see you, Chris.
See you, buddy. Be good.
You too.